Welcome to TeraTalk episode 2. I'm Tesla Owls, and today we receive Florent, aka ATO.
Yeah, or Atto.
Atto.
Yeah.
I
Hi
knew I
guys.
would get it wrong. All right.
That's fine. Thanks for having me, host.
Okay, so why don't you talk a bit about yourself, I guess?
Yeah. So, Frenchie, like you,
Yeah.
I moved to Montreal in 2015, and I've been following Tesla for at least 7, 8 years now.
All right.
And yeah, ever since I became addicted.
Okay. Do you own a Tesla?
I don't own one. I live in Montreal, so I use public transportation.
Okay.
But yeah, eventually, yeah, someday it will happen, I'm sure.
Okay, nice. So, because we both work in software, I believe,
hmm
I think it's fitting to talk about Tesla's software, and the best
hmm
way to start is obviously with Autopilot. So
hmm
the the $1 million question: when will robotaxi be a thing?
Well, you mean based on real time or Elon's time?
Based on actually being a thing.
Yeah, well, it's not something that's gonna happen when you flip a switch. Like it's gonna take a few iteration, of course. I think their plan is to start by having like drivers being part of the fleet, and and from that see what Autopilot can covers and uh, what are the edge cases where the real pilot, the human being behind the steering wheel, has to take over. And as they narrow the gap, they will start to probably, for my opinion, it's going to be like location based. So some location will be well covered and well understood by
Mm.
FSD, and that's going to start from there. Probably there's some places in California that I know since it's like covered by Teslas, so that's going to start from there and hopefully expand to Los Angeles, California, and the rest of the US.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. The fact that it's not going to be just flipping a switch.
No, no.
Many people, I guess, those who don't know enough about software, it's easy to think that it's like either they work it out or they don't. But
hmm
it's machine learning, and it gets better over time, but it takes time. And
It takes time, yeah.
and just because there's a rewrite coming doesn't mean your car will suddenly handle every corner case and drive you to work without intervention every time.
Yeah. Well, apparently it does work this way for Elon. I know he tweeted on several occasions. He tweeted that between his place and I believe the Fremont factory,
Mm-hmm.
there are actually very few moments where he has to take over. But otherwise, it's close to like 100%. And I know
I don't
he's
think
driving on
that's
the latest Alpha nightly build of FLC rewrite. So.
I don't think that's what he said. I think what he said was that it happens sometimes that he doesn't have to intervene, isn't it?
Oh.
Like
That's a small difference.
sometimes
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
it works, but most of his drives he has to take over. And it's like the gap between that and robotaxi isn't small. It's not because it works
Yeah.
sometimes that it'll work like tomorrow it'll work every time.
hmm Yeah. So to answer your question, I hope, like many others, I hope that's gonna happen gradually, starting next year.
Mhm.
Some people were expecting the first iteration of robotaxi happening in 2020, but well, Elon times. So definitely 2021. I hope
Okay.
that's my hope. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I have a question for you
hmm
because some people disagree with me, particularly a good friend. He disagrees on my belief that a big challenge for Autopilot will be roundabouts. I don't know if you have many roundabouts in Canada, but we have
uh,
like every 10 meters here we have one.
yeah.
And even for humans, they're really hard to navigate. I'm impressed when I see people in roundabouts. The
Hmm.
coordination is incredible,
Hmm.
and I don't think it'll be easy for a computer. And I work in software for what it's worth. I'm a junior, but I'm a dev.
Yeah, well, I think the like when you talk about roundabouts, especially like I know in France they pretty much aside from the size itself, but they pretty much all look the same. Like the painting on the ground is like standard,
They
and
do.
so overall, if you know how to handle a roundabout in France and well, even I believe in most places in Europe, that's fine. Here, from what I've seen in Canada and also in the US, well, we don't have many roundabouts even in Canada, and in the US, it's like almost non-existent.
Yeah.
Um, there are so many different configuration between like states and between depending on like the location itself. And so because I feel like it's much less standardized, and for that reason, it's going to be much harder for Tesla. But then again, there are more Teslas in the US and Canada, so it maybe counterweight the argument. But compared to like what we have in France or in Europe, I believe if you learn how to handle one, you can pretty much handle all of them. Um, yeah.
But handling one seems very complex to me because it's like first you have to get into the roundabout, which requires I don't know, it requires the acceptation of potential harm to your car. This is,
Hmm.
is a way to put it. Um, Someday you're gonna hit a car getting into a roundabout. It's just a question of when. And then you've got people cutting right in front of you, like all the time. You've gotta, I don't know, you've gotta negotiate the curve a different way every time. I feel
And
like
yeah, and
there's no
depending on where
rule.
you exit as well,
Yeah,
like you don't position yourself in the same place, like in the same lane, uh, whether you go on the first or second exit versus the third, or if you do like a 180 degrees U-turn, uh,
yeah.
you are like your car is expected to be placed based on that information, and yeah, maybe the car will have to know, of course, in advance, uh, like where you want to exit and what route you want to take to adjust itself. Mm.
Yeah, I just feel like there's so many variables. Like on the road in general, there are many variables, of course, but in roundabouts, I feel like there are so many. It's insane. It must be
Well,
insane to work out software that does that.
the big advantage of the car, like compared to human, is that the cars has like eight cameras, I think,
Yeah.
um, and we only have two eyes. So I understand like your concern when you're in the roundabout, you're constantly looking around, making sure you're not hitting anyone and nobody is hitting you. But for a car, um, especially given the fact that it's going to be more and more Teslas on the road in the future, that's for sure. We can expect, maybe not next year, but like yeah, in the foreseeable future, we can expect that there will be so many autonomous cars, Teslas or other brands, that maybe negotiating the roundabout will be just much easier because there will be like the additional all the additional data about who is located where and how the cars are positioned on the road.
Oh, for sure. That's like
Yeah.
I've been imagining that logic of every car is autonomous and they can communicate with each other
Hmm.
and know
Hmm.
exactly like to the millimeter where every car is, and you could have cars like flying by at 200 miles an hour in the
Yeah, in
streets.
Germany.
And yeah, no, in the streets, like you could genuinely have cars just zipping by because they know exactly if
Hmm.
they'll hit another car. But that's if every car is autonomous and there are no cyclists and there are no pedestrians and etc.
Yeah, that's
In the
true.
meantime, which is like in the next 100 years maybe, there
Hmm.
are humans on the road, whether bike, motorcycle, truck, cars. There are humans, and that makes the thing complex. But yeah, the 8 cameras, they do help for blind spots and whatnot. So
Hmm.
sure, it might be possible, but I'm waiting to see.
Well, and you said, well, in 100 years, well, this is gonna happen way before that, I hope. And the only thing is that you don't need to have 100% of the entire uh, like population switching to EVs or autonomous driving for that to happen. I think beyond a certain threshold, you're gonna have like a natural organization being put in place between the cars and communicating with each other, and um, and so that I don't know, maybe like when you reach 25%, maybe 30%, maybe 50%, I don't know exactly. Even at this point, even though you still have like 50% of all the cars around you still burning gas, but because the majority of it is already kind of aware of its surrounding without you necessarily paying attention, um, that's gonna become easier and easier because at some point, um, the Tesla network, I'm sure will just in addition to leverage all the data they have been accumulating for the last, I don't know, it started like five years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years I think.
Um, they're gonna have, in addition to that, they're gonna have all the data coming from the surrounding cars, like all the cars located nearby, and
Mm.
that's gonna be a huge advantage
It's gonna be
for
a huge advantage for sure,
yeah.
but you still have to assume that other cars might come out of pretty much nowhere, and the car can't just rely on knowing where every other Tesla is. So that'll be
Yeah.
helpful for sure. Like knowing that this Tesla ahead of you just saw a crash, and so it tells the Tesla right behind it, like slow
Hmm.
down. There's a crash
Hmm.
like 2 kilometers away. It's like,
Hmm.
whoa, that's helpful. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's gonna be, and when that will happen, that is gonna be a game changer.
Yeah.
Especially like when we first started, when we started the conversation, you said, well, even for us, like working in the software industry, uh, that's something you really have to experience by yourself, like Autopilot. I remember like the first time I tried that, even though I know the car, I kind of know the car pretty well and I kind of know how it works or uh, what it is capable of. Uh, like letting a car drive for the first time is always quite an experience.
It's weird.
At least that was for my case.
Yeah.
So, and the more people experience that for the first time, that's really is the first experience that matters the most because after you had the first successful experience, you build trust with your car and with the product and with the data
Mm.
and of course what you're going to do is to tell your friends about it, let everyone else around you experience that by themselves as well. And so to me, for now, we are like at the very beginning of the curve and like the S curve. And yeah, things that's they're gonna happen, I believe, much faster. Even though like right now for the robotaxi, we are a bit late, but in the long term, it doesn't really matter because that's gonna happen and that's gonna happen faster than I believe some bears uh, want to bet on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we can touch on briefly other aspects of the software.
Hmm.
Um, do you have any thoughts on other aspects? Which one is gonna take a bigger place in the coming years when robotaxi, I guess, is a thing?
Um, yeah, sure. Well, I think that, of course, has been mentioned in the past, but um, there is a huge market for media and entertainment in the car. Whenever the day happens, when we go like full self-driving, at least on the most common roads, um, people they will like at the beginning they will be like, okay, well, I can be using my phone, but they will probably want more than that. And given the fact that you have this huge screen in the car, you have the nice sound system, I believe there is a huge potential for Tesla and entertainment at large happening within the car. That's going to be for them. That's going to be something that no other automaker will be able to do.
Yeah.
At least like today, 2020, October 2020. I have no reason to believe that any other automaker will ever catch up in the short term, given that the most advanced car today barely compare with a 2012 Tesla Model S. So that speaks words. And so, yeah, for the Tesla owners or the users of robotaxi fleets, uh, that's going to be something they will be looking for, and that's a huge potential for Tesla in terms of revenue. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you're going for your vacation, and you've got 10 hours of trip, and your Tesla says, "How about for $10 you watch 2 or 3 movies during your trip?" Do you say yes,
Well,
or do you just get bored for 10 hours? It's like, yeah, hell yeah, I want to watch movies.
yeah. Well, you can also sleep and take a bit of time for yourself
I mean,
during those 10 hours, for sure. And at some point, like you're gonna have to stretch your legs and
yeah,
get some fresh air anyway. But yeah, for the like if you're driving and you really want to, uh, have yourself,
some
uh,
useful time.
yeah, just enjoying some time with your family. I think watching a movie like all together is pretty good idea.
Playing games. When do you think
Yeah.
other automakers, like, when will we see another automaker release a game in their car? First automaker to an actual game, like not just I've got a couple lame games in my Renault Zoe, but it's like
Yeah.
it's I gotta pay $2 or $3 to have the lamest game ever released. That's not a game. I mean gaming as in Tesla.
And by gaming, you mean gaming while the car is driving, or
No,
like playing on your
like
parking
today,
lot?
like today. Yeah. When will
Well,
another automaker release that?
honestly, they will have to. Well, first off, they will have to commit for a better hardware. I think the quality of the infotainment also comes from the hardware that is packaged on the car. And like if you compare the infotainment system, even on the very basic features, what you have in a Tesla today versus what you have in I don't know, in a Porsche or similar brand in terms of price for the car, there is nothing to compare to. Uh,
Mm.
so um, it's like it's pretty hard to say, because to me, like automakers, they are automotive. They're part of the automotive industry. They're not part of the software industry. They're not part of like all of that is like super way ahead of their field. Their field is like expertise in engineering, like on um, internal combustion engine vehicles. And so really for years, luxury brands, when you think about that, when you think about luxury brands in the car industry, at least before Tesla arrived, it was like a lot of horsepowers, a nice interior, nice materials, but adding the ability to play games or even just watch TV, or
Yeah.
there is nothing they have pretty much no experience in that. So what they will do, well, we know they're gonna probably have to integrate with like uh, a system provided by someone else,
A third party, yeah,
and
like Google or
yeah, a third party. Yeah,
yeah.
that's right. And but the whole experience is gonna be it's not gonna be comparable to what you have in a Tesla because, well, we know like vertical integration and they manage everything from A to Z. So no, I don't see that happening in the near future. I don't know, like maybe the Polestar. I've heard quite good thing around the Polestar too.
Seems
Um,
great, yeah.
yeah, it looks pretty good. I had a chance to see it like with my own eyes in Montreal last year, but I never tried it, and I never tried the infotainment system, so I don't really know how it compares to Tesla.
Hmm.
But I would think it's nowhere near the level of experience that Tesla provides.
And yeah, I guess to conclude,
Hmm.
I think software is going to be very important. It already is, but it's going to take an even bigger place because of EVs, because you need to stop and charge. Currently, it's like 30, 40 minutes, 20
Hmm.
if you're lucky and about to arrive. But like you have to stop for at least 20 minutes. What are you
Hmm.
going to do in the meantime? You're going to want a game. You're going to want to watch some YouTube, some Netflix.
Yeah,
And
probably. Yeah.
if an
Hmm.
automaker offers that, that's extremely valuable because you don't just waste time in your car sitting there looking at your thumbs. You do stuff. And
Yeah.
I think that's going to be a major selling point for Tesla. Just gaming and videos alone.
Hmm. Well, that totally aligns with my own experience. Last year, I was in Los Angeles. I did a trip to Las Vegas. I tried for the first time the Supercharger V3 in Las Vegas, and what I was doing, like basically, is exactly what you just described. So I was playing game. I was just experiencing the infotainment, touching knobs and whatnot. Well, knobs, not physical ones, but and yeah, and my girlfriend would what was she was with me, and yeah, we played games. We rented a car in Truro. We had two Xbox controllers, I think, and
Hmm.
uh, we were at almost 0%, like maybe 5%, because I really wanted to try the V3 and see how fast it charges. And so yeah, it lasted for like you said, maybe half an hour, 40 minutes, and yeah, we played game, watched stuff online, and like we didn't see the time
Go
passing by.
by,
Like
yeah.
we had no idea it was already complete by the end of uh, yeah, less than an hour. It was done. So
Yeah. It
and
it's
it's not
over
like
and it's like, oh shoot.
it-
It's like,
yeah,
do I really have to go already?
and
I
like yeah,
wanted a
well, you
game.
have
I
to,
was about
otherwise you're gonna
to hit the
die.
high score.
Yeah, that's actually true. Like I really want to beat my girlfriend's high score, but I failed. Anyway, yeah. Well, at some point you have to disconnect from the supercharger. Of course, you don't
Yeah.
want to be charged for that. But it's really, I think, when people compare like EVs and they're like they never experience EVs, and they imagine like what it's like to charge the car, and they compare that to the experience you have at the gas station. Like basically you're sitting outside, you
Yeah.
wait, you're filling your tank, and there is nothing left to do. It's pretty boring,
Yeah.
nothing interesting. When you're on your Tesla, and it's actually like it can be, I don't know, it can, depending on what you want to do, it can be even more exciting than just driving, because now you have free time and you have nothing else to do, so you can really like relax,
Have fun.
and
Chill. Yeah.
yeah, you can chill, and of course playing games, watching movies, whatnot. That's a huge part of that experience. Yeah.
Yeah. So, long story short, stop comparing ICE to EVs. There's no comparison. Just stop it.
Yeah.
All right.
There's nothing to confer. No. And if you have time and you have a Tesla, please take some time to invite your friend. I know like time is not necessarily free for everyone, but we could talk for hours. You can watch any videos on YouTube. You can listen to any podcast. You have to drive a Tesla to understand by yourself what it's like, and yeah.
Yeah, and not just be a
beyond
passenger.
that point, you will stop comparing Teslas or even EV at large with ICs. That's for sure.
All right. Well, Florent, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And see you soon, I hope.
I hope so. Have a good one.
Have a good
Bye.
one. This was episode 2 of TeraTalk with Tesla Owls and Florent, aka Atto. You can find our respective links in the description. Likes and shares are very much appreciated, as well as suggestions for improvements and constructive feedback. If you feel like chatting with me in a future episode, hit me up on Twitter. And stay tuned, because next episode is gonna be legendary.